Good evening. Thank you all for coming. We're going to honor our local heroes, the members and officers of the SADD chapter at Eleanor Roosevelt High School. SADD standing for the Students Against Destructive Decisions. If you haven't already done so, or if the Spirit moves you during the program, please have some of our refreshments courtesy of three brothers. So I'm going to give Mayor Emmett Jordan an opportunity to open with the opening remarks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Jordan.
So thank you very much. I just want to congratulate all of the members of the SADD chapter, Joanne Reed, Donna Beck. You do great work. You've been doing great work for years. And your principal, Neil, to have students and staff like this all kind of working together with the community and to be recognized by Quantum and Beltway Plaza. It's such a privilege to have that all going on in our city. So on behalf of Mayor Pro Tem Jay Davis and the rest of City Council and all of the citizens of Greenbelt, I'd like to congratulate you all on this induction. And I'd really like to thank Quantum for doing this things for the community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor, and Mayor Pro Tem Jay, thank you very much for attending. I know you had other business. I think we have some other officials and VIPs here. We have our principal, Reginald McNeil, and I'm going to ask him to make some remarks later on. We're going to have Joanne Reed introduce Mrs. Hathaway Beck a little later on as well. I'd like to recognize Officer Rogers. Officer Rogers, thank you. Officer Rogers was actually instrumental in really putting this together. Thank you, appreciate it. As you can see from the wall behind me, we have honored heroes from all walks of life. And if you'll take a moment following the program to look at the wall, read about our heroes, I think it would be appreciated. So we envision this as a valuable teaching tool where adults and children can learn of the great example that our local heroes represent for all of us. So allow me to share this with you. I believe that I uniquely relate to SADD and its mission. The mission of SADD being to empower young people to successfully confront the risks and pressures that challenge them in their daily lives. So if SADD were available when I attended high school, I could have been the poster child for SADD. I wish I'd had a peer-to-peer organization that I could have gone to. You might say that destructive behavior was my spiritual gift. I ran with and influenced the wrong crowd in high school and continued to test the outer reaches of damaging behavior even during college. Well, I was very lucky. I had a judge who took an interest in me and persuaded me to abandon my colleagues and change my actions. But it's not just kids who practice perilous, risky behaviors. All I need to do is to mention the names of billionaires, professional athletes, sportscasters, news anchors, celebrities, and politicians, and you will associate their ruinous behavior with them. Aaron Schock, most recently, Ray Rice, Adrian Peterson, Aaron Hernandez, Robert Durst, Greg Anthony, Brian Williams, A-Rod, Robert Downey Jr., Anthony Weiner, John Edwards, Bob and Maureen McDonald. The list goes on and on. A mere mention of these names conjures up the well-publicized demolition of their reputations, their livelihoods, their achievements, their close relationships, even incarceration for some. In truth, every person is potentially a demolition site or a construction project. As is so often acutely demonstrated, today's thrills may well be tomorrow's ruin. You've observed that, haven't you? Please say yes. Yes. Thank you. Well, that's why SADD's program is so very necessary and beneficial. SADD advances positive decision-making for the health and safety of individuals through peer-to-peer leadership, providing practical, essential, life-saving advice, combating the dangerous circumstances your schoolmates find themselves involved in. Could be abuse of alcohol, abuse of drugs, driving under the influence, smoking, dating violence, teen pregnancy, or driving while distracted. So how many of you saw Wednesday's Washington Post article, Distractions Role in Teen Crashes? AAA and federal data show that almost 60% of car crashes involving teen drivers, resulted from distracted driving, with the chief distraction being interaction with other passengers. Almost 1 million teenage drivers were involved in car crashes in 2013. Well, just as SADD is recognized, states need to pass better passenger restrictions as part of their graduated driver licensing programs. So if SADD were affiliated with a church instead of a public school, it could be termed a ministry. SADD's objectives and work are certainly biblically based. So consider Proverbs, the wisdom expressed in Proverbs 8:13. Make a clean break from destructive associates of the past and commit yourself to wise future acts. That's what the judge instilled in me, helping me to turn my life around. So we exhibit brotherly kindness toward and love for one another when we extend ourselves to a classmate or another young person. The detour, the U-turn you effect, the preventative maintenance you bring to bear is vital work. That's why we're here today, to celebrate your kindness. This is ever more so in this fast-paced information age where knowledge is abundant and wisdom is scarce. To act wisely is a daily pursuit. We have choices reflecting either careful consideration or careless neglect. Despite the universally accepted simple ditty that I heard growing up, sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you, that's what you're led to believe by your parents when you're on the receiving end of hurtful words, rumors, lies, falsehoods. However they're spread and repeated, they can and do cause tremendous harm. As we know, cyberbullying has led to suicides. Tragically, social media too often provides a platform for hurtful speech, even prompting the need for new laws to confront this corrosion of civility. This is an area where SADD can really be of service to quell the spread of injurious misstatements. As President Bill Clinton said so eloquently at Yale on May 23, 2010, we must work to reduce the negative forces of our interdependence. However, teen suicide is considered and carried out for a number of different reasons, even as a result of suicide pacts glamorized on social networking sites. The Center for Disease Control's reports that suicide is the third leading cause of death for youth ages 15 to 24, and surprisingly, the fourth leading cause of death for younger children between the ages of 10 and 14. What could be more important to a fellow student and their family than saving that life from being needlessly destroyed? So now let's have our heroes and their advisors paint a technical and expansive portrait of SADD for you. So I'm going to introduce Mrs. Joanne DeRosa Reed, who's going to introduce our keynote speaker. I'm going to give Joanne a very brief introduction, and I'm going to give her a more robust and dynamic introduction, which she well deserves later on. So Joanne is the longtime advisor to the SADD chapter of Eleanor Roosevelt, and in that capacity, and as a retired English teacher at Eleanor Roosevelt, has had sustained communication with our keynote speaker, Prince George's County School Board District member, or shall I say, retired, Donna Hathaway Beck. So I'm pleased to introduce Mrs. Reed, who will provide a proper introduction for Mrs. Beck.
Thank you, Mr. Capstan, for the kudos and for the words of wisdom, which have truly inspired our members and me. Welcome to all of our guests this evening. Our SADD chapter is extremely honored that you have joined us for this special event. We are not only ecstatic to greet local dignitaries in our audience, but we're also thrilled to have a myriad of other SADD supporters, including administrators, teachers, and staff from ERHS and Western Tech, where I used to teach also, and our members' biggest fans, their parents and families. Thanks to my brother, Frank DeRosa, who came out tonight all the way from Annapolis to be with us on this memorable occasion. And my son, Kevin Reed, is on the way. He had to work late, so he'll be here soon, I hope. One of our faithful supporters is a lady who has been speaking at many of our events on behalf of MAD, which stands for Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and SADD since 2005, I believe. Former Prince George's County board member and MAD activist, Mrs. Donna Hathaway Beck, seated up front. Mrs. Beck was also a PTA president at 3 schools in Prince George's County: Melwood Elementary, Madison Middle, and Frederick Douglass High. She's also a Maryland State PTA honorary lifetime member. From 2006 to 2013, Mrs. Beck served as an elected member to the Prince George's County Public Schools Board of Education and was vice chair from 2010 to 2011. She has also served as a committee member and an Eagle Scout liaison for the Boy Scouts of America and is the mother of 2 Eagle Scouts. As a mother of 4 and a grandmother of 4, Mrs. Beck is a nurturing person who has also stood up for the children of Prince George's County Public Schools and treated them with the same concern as she would treat her own children and grandchildren. However, what our SADD chapter and our senior classes since 2006 know most about Mrs. Beck is her affiliation with MAD. She has been a member since 1990 and has served on the MAD Victim Impact Panels, the MAD Regional Operations Board of Directors from 2006 to the present, and has been a member of Team Amanda, something very near and dear to your family, I know, for the Walk Like Mad campaign from 2007 to the present. Mrs. Hathaway Beck continues to be our dynamic keynote speaker at our annual candlelight induction ceremonies in December and at our pre-prom senior assembly every April. The next one coming up is right after our mock car crash, April 15th, last period, at around 2:30. We are so thrilled that she has joined us on this momentous evening. She's traveled the furthest, as far as I know, of all of our guests to be with us tonight from Stevensville, Maryland on the Eastern Shore. So please at this time, welcome Mrs. Donna Hathaway Beck.
I am beyond honored to be here. To represent, first of all, the organization that I belong to, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. But I want to thank Mr. Kapistan for this phenomenal honor. I can't think of another group that I have worked with this long that deserves such recognition. And I have to say, Joanne Reed has taken SADD and run with it at Eleanor Roosevelt High School. As she said, I am a member of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and I have been a member of that group since 1990. I am both the victim of a drunk driving crash, not accident, crash, and I spoke about that for 15 years. I had never known anyone who had been killed by a drunk driver until 2005, when our family lost a dear friend and graduate of Frederick Douglass High School in Upper Marlboro, Amanda Moore. Amanda was a graduate of the University of Baltimore. She had an economics degree. She was working. She unfortunately went out to lunch one day when a drunk driver, 4 days before Christmas, decided to kill her with his Cadillac Escalade. Amanda lived 1 hour and 20 minutes after that crash. Our family, the Maryland MAD family and National MAD, honor victims of drunk driving crashes. But we also work with legislatures to make our roads safer. One of our initiatives is the Ignition Interlock program, where individuals who are convicted of DUI over the .15 range have a mandatory lock put on their car that will not allow the car onto the road with a drunk driver behind it. This is one of many initiatives that Mothers Against Drunk Drivers has been spearheading recently to ensure our roads are safer. One of the best things that I talk about when I go to my speeches, and usually I speak 3 or 4 times a month to convicted offenders, DUIs, about the damage they could cause, not just to other people on the road, but to themselves. Because 40% of victims of fatality DUIs are the drunk driver themselves. But often I like to talk about positive things. What is going right? And at that time, I have the opportunity to focus on SADD at Eleanor Roosevelt. While drunk driving is only one component of your mission, along with texting, drugged driving, dating violence, smoking, we at Mothers Against Drunk Driving can use you as an example of how we are teaching our youth and mentoring our youth to step into our shoes, to carry the mission to make our highways safer. SADD, the organization, has a lot of growing to do, but in the state of Maryland, you are a key piece of the SADD environment. I recently had a mom in Wycomico County in Salisbury say she had gone to the school, the high school there, and asked, what are you doing about drunk driving, text driving, impaired driving? And the school really didn't have anything other than their student council. At that point, she contacted me because she had heard me talk about the Eleanor Roosevelt SADD group. And she was put in touch with the SADD leadership, and she is now trying to start a SADD group in Wycomico County, all the way the other side of Maryland, solely because she heard me bragging about your group. You have phenomenal leadership, committed leadership, not just from Ms. Reed, but from your first responder, Mr. Rogers, our police officer, from Mr. McNeil, from your parents, and I have seen this group grow year after year. I know that Ms. Reed brings to you the story of her sister, Marguerite, and we all come with what is moving us forward, much like Amanda continues to motivate me. We hope that you never have someone in your family that you can stand before an audience and say, this is what happened to my loved one. One of the worst things that can happen to you is to say, my friend, my mother, my sister was killed through a destructive decision or drunk driving. You are taking the right road to becoming the next motivators for legislation to make our roads safer. I celebrate you. I congratulate both you and the adults in your lives. And I am so proud that as I look down this line, that we finally have a group of kids who are being honored. You are the youngest members on this wall, the only group representing kids. What a highlight. And I know this will not be your last time being honored, if not here, but somewhere in your future. Congratulations again.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Beck. You're quite a motivational speaker. I didn't notice you speaking from any notes either. Oh. So, Mrs. Joanne DeRosa Reed, I'm going to give you a proper introduction. I thought I would quote a poem, relevant verses from a poem by a pioneering, award-winning educator and author I would commend to you, Jean Bedley. In the hands of a gifted teacher, self-management skills are modeled. In the hands of a gifted teacher, the willed future is designed. Read Bedley, think about it. So by all accounts, Joanne is a gifted educator and trusted advisor who has spent her entire career combining passion, dedication, perspiration, and inspiration to her youthful charges for more than 4 decades, with the last 20 years as an advisor to SADD and its predecessor organization. Because Joanne lived it, walked it, talked the talk, earned the t-shirt, and lived to tell about it, I'm going to just allow her to tell her own story in a moment. But in this era of union busting, Republican presidential aspirants, the ascendancy of charter schools as the panacea for confronting a lowest common denominator in education, controversial teaching to the test, and challenges to teacher competence, Joanne is a unique, principled standout. Joanne imports the core ethical values, the bedrock of our nation's foundation: honesty, respect, caring, and responsibility. So I'm proud to introduce Mrs. Joanne DeRosa Reed, our gifted educator and teacher, and your advisor at SADD. Please.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Capistan. That was very wonderful. And I want to also thank Donna for mentioning my sister, my late sister, Marguerite. She, thank goodness, never did have to deal with any kind of the drinking and driving, although it probably did occur when she lived in Fort Lauderdale. However, the last 10 years of her life, she was drug and alcohol free, and she really made something of herself, and she inspired many people. That's why we have a memorial award in her memory that we give to usually one of our officers, sometimes more, who have made a difference in the lives of their peers. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you for mentioning her. At this time, I would like to share with you a little bit more about SADD Nation's manual, just from the SADD Nation's manual, what our mission statement is, and I know Mr. Capistan mentioned it somewhat as well, but I'm just going to read right from it. Originally, the mission of the SADD chapter was to help young people say no to drinking and driving. It used to be Students Against Drunk Driving. But today the mission has expanded, and students have told us that the positive peer pressure, role models, and other strategies can help them refuse more than drinking and driving. And that is why SADD has become a peer leadership organization dedicated to preventing destructive decisions, particularly underage drinking, other drug use, impaired driving, teen violence, and teen depression and suicide. SADD's mission is simply stated: to provide students with the best prevention and intervention tools possible to deal with the issues of underage drinking, other drug use, impaired driving, and other destructive decisions. Our monthly campaigns, most of which are held outside the cafeteria, as Mr. McNeil sees us all the time, during all lunch shifts during the school year, are activities which positively influence our members' peers. And they are, and I'm not going to name all of them, but quite a few of them. Our homecoming pledge. If you look at our members' t-shirts, we kind of cheated on that. We didn't do the exact SADD t-shirt. We changed it to read something that my sister that I mentioned before, Marguerite, and we came up with this slogan: dances and hugs are better than alcohol and drugs. And what happens is we get them to sign a pledge, and then we also give them a Hershey hug in order to be safe during homecoming. And we do it during spring fling too sometimes. Then we do Red Ribbon Week. We are the king or the queen of the bracelets, as our students or members will tell you. We make all kinds of different colored bracelets made out of ribbon that we give out. And for Red Ribbon Week, we do that. And that's also for Rockin' the Red. They wear red on a certain day, with apologies to the Capitals. But anyway, we give those out to remind people to be drug-free. We even do breast cancer awareness, and we wear pink and we give away those bracelets as well. Then we have Teen Driver Safety Week. That's what these little stickers are for. We had these specially made up, click, clack, front and back. And then we also do give away more black and gold ribbons. And we also borrow from Officer Rogers the police tape to make it get our little color coding in. After that, we also do the Great American Smokeout. Now, I don't see Jeremy this evening, but Jeremy is always our go-to guy. He was dressed up like Siggy Monster. We also asked the lady across from another mall, Greenway Center, from CVS, to come over as our pharmacist to help distribute. And by the way, all these campaigns, we hand out pamphlets and literature and all so that the students can be aware of these things. So Siggy Monster gave out pamphlets too. Then we had our 10th annual candlelight induction ceremony, which we talked about before, that Mrs. Beck has always been so kind to attend and to tell us her ribbon stories. SADD Shines Day is the first time we've done this with the help of Miss Peden, who's the new Maryland State Coordinator. We're so lucky to have some backup now. And in addition to that, we kind of combined 3 really destructive decisions, and those would be teen dating violence. So we have teen dating violence awareness, anti-bullying, and suicide prevention. Again with the ribbons, but we do purple, yellow, and blue for that. And then we even painted our fingernails, our pinkies blue, which stood for what? Do you all know what that one was? That was for anti-bullying too. And it was Blue Pinky Power, so we all had blue pinkies at that time, and we, again, gave out all kinds of literature about that, which is very important. My vice president, who's not here tonight, she is working on an anti-marijuana prevention, and she has slogans and all, but she had interviewed some people from the time when we did the smokeout, and found that she felt that it would be more relevant, and they told her this too, some of the student body, more relevant to look at anti-marijuana. Although, of course, student body, they're usually older relatives are the ones who still smoke tobacco, unfortunately. But we want to look into that too. Pedestrian safety in Greenbelt and College Park is something we're going to talk about in a minute. And then on April 15th, Corporal Rogers and the Greenbelt Fire Department and Police Department in Berwyn Heights, they're all going to help us reenact the every 15 minutes mock car crash. And they will be taking care of that for us, and we'll have 3 or 4 members. In fact, one of our members, would you raise your hand, Tijuana? Tijuana, unfortunately, has agreed to be one of our deceased members. And she will be in a car, and they will, recover her. They will rescue the other people. And one gentleman, Jameson, he's not here tonight, but he is going to be our perp, shall we say. And the officers will, I think it's not you, is it usually Yankawi? Yeah. He is going to make him, toe the line and all that, and lock him up afterwards. So, I mean, not literally, but they actually do put the handcuffs on. So it's very good, and it's for the juniors and seniors before prom. And then later that day, we will have Mrs. Beck come back and really tell a wonderful, important story to the seniors that they need to hear before prom. Next day, those victims who were killed by a drunk driver will be Grim Ghosts, and the Grim Reaper, the same guy who was the perp, he decided he wanted to help us with this. He's going to be the Grim Reaper, and he's going to then tag the people who will then have to be quiet for the rest of the day. They have to write their own obituaries about how they were killed by a drunk driver. And it's very meaningful, and usually the other students, take it seriously, and Officer Rogers helps us with that as well. And then finally, I know I've left a couple things out, but the Promise Pledge, which we've been doing for many years, we have to gather up 596 goodie bags and pamphlets about safety. After they've signed the prom promise, we will give them to all of our 596 students who are graduating. I want to talk a little bit about the pedestrian safety campaign. Mr. Richard Moody, who's the supervisor of safe and drug-free schools in Prince George's County, asked us if we would be interested in doing this, and we are definitely interested. And with the help of our school resource officer, John Rogers, and also his fellow officer, traffic officer Scott Yancovey, to launch the pedestrian campaign on our campus and in the Greenbelt community. So they have some wonderful ideas, and we've tossed around some really good ideas as well too. But in addition, and this is, I have to give Ms. Gillern a shout out for this one, she encouraged me to reach out to College Park residents and university students via Councilman Patrick Wojahn, City Councilman, and I did have email communication with him, and also a representative from University of Maryland, President Lowe's office, Ms. Ann Martins, and Sergeant Roseanne Hose from the Department of the Public Safety staff, and they're going to be working with us too. I don't know if you've been along Greenbelt Road and have seen the billboard that says Walk Smart College Park. Well, we're going to try to do some things with them as well. We have concerns in both neighboring communities, especially since so many of our seniors will be attending the university in the fall, as well as those Roosevelt alums who are there now. And then, of course, the fact that all of my family, we're all Terps, right, Kevin? So that's another reason. Finally, I want to give a sincere and special shout out to a gentleman who made our induction possible, because he nominated our service learning chapter to be among the honorable Greenbelt citizens who were pictured on this wall. Corporal John Rogers, we want to thank you so much for, and we really appreciate everything you've done. Thank you. I also want to thank two thoughtful, hardworking, and professional people who orchestrated this entire program this evening. Mr. Mark Capistan, General Counsel for Quantum Companies, and Ms. Janabi Devendra, who is, there she is, okay, yes, Director of Marketing. You two have guided us in this endeavor over the last couple months, and we sincerely appreciate your efforts. You've done an outstanding job, so thank you so much. I appreciate it. Finally, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce Fong Tran, known by her middle name, Lynn. Lynn is presently a senior at Eleanor Roosevelt High School and serves as the president of our SADD chapter. Lynn first joined SADD during her freshman year because, as she told me, she wanted to be an active participant in the school and be of a positive service to her fellow students. Serving as president this year, Lynn has repeatedly demonstrated her mastery of leadership skills. I remember the metamorphosis of a shy freshman girl who rarely shared her opinions to a dynamic leader running meetings and addressing school assemblies, expressing her well-thought-out opinions, even the unpopular ones. This all seems to come quite naturally to Lynn now and will put her in good stead for a bright future whose plans I'm hoping she will share with you now. So Lynn, please step up here and tell us what SADD has meant to you and what your future plans are. This is Lynn Tran.
Thank you, Mrs. Green, thank you. Lynn, would you do one thing for me before you begin? Would you introduce the officers and members of SADD that are here tonight and mention those that aren't? Thank you.
Okay, so our officers that are here today, Nan Nugent is our art director. Eden, treasurer. We have a couple officers not here today. Diane Lamidi, our secretary. And another secretary that we have missing today is Richard Williams. He could not be here today. Our vice president, Carly, and our historians, Renisa and Denise. First, before I begin my speech, I would like to thank Ms. Joanne Reed and Quantum Corporations for making this possible. A little bit about me. My name is Lynn Tran, and I'm a senior at Eleanor Roosevelt. I have spent 4 years in SADD, and each year has taught me a different lesson. Freshman year taught me how important it is to get involved. When I first heard the morning announcements, "Be there to make a difference," I know I wanted to be a part of this great organization. The next year, I learned to choose my friends wisely. As others choose alcohol and drugs, I chose to make good decisions. I surrounded myself with supportive and caring peers who made sure I was on the right path. These friends are here with me today. They have also joined SADD, and are committed to our values. Junior year taught me that I have to stand up for my beliefs as they are tested time and time again during the course of high school. And most importantly, this year, my final year in SADD, I learned how important community support is in everything that we do. As members of SADD, we try to serve the community, and in turn, the community has showed us so much love and support. From participating in all of our events to helping us start up new campaigns, we have enjoyed so much support from our school, our county, our city, and even our state. So today, I would like to extend a sincere thank you to everyone who has helped us over the years. That includes Officer Rogers and Mr. McNeil, and especially our sponsor, Ms. Reed, who has proved herself to be truly committed to SADD and everything that we stand for.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, I'm going to make some closing remarks, but before I do, I'd like to afford your principal, Reginald McNeil, to make some remarks. Thank you.
Okay. And good evening. But thank you, Mr. Capistan. I really appreciate this honor for our school. And everyone, Officer Rogers, I would really like to thank you for having the wisdom to nominate our group for this award. So give Officer Rogers a big round of applause. Mrs. Beck, you've always been there for us, and we really appreciate you coming every year to inspire our students and let them know that there are options in their lives. And Mrs. Reed, we really appreciate you. I know you said you're retired, and I think you're working even more to help children. And students, I applaud you for having the courage to really stand up in front of your peers and really sound like their parents in what you're saying to them, because that takes a lot. And when you really come into this program as a freshman and you're looking in the face of a senior as y'all are standing out in the cafeteria lobby and really sharing your beliefs, I want you to know you're making a difference. You are really making a difference to the students' lives, not only at Roosevelt, but they take what you say and they take it back, and they are sharing that. So give yourselves a big round of applause. And I know every day you go and tell your parents, thank you for being the parents that you are. And I know at some point you didn't understand that, what they were doing. But, as we move forward, you will truly appreciate everything. And so give your parents a big round of applause, all the parents that are here. But it takes all of us working together to make sure that you reach all of the goals that you want to reach as you're moving forward. And I worry about you, I do, over the spring break to make sure, because I want all of you to return. I want all of you to return and graduate and go forward and do what you need to do. So as the Roosevelt, and to be honest, we do a lot of things at Roosevelt. You participate in a lot of things. We win a lot of awards. But I have to say that this is special. This is really above, because you're changing lives. And when people come in here and see this and see that your face is up here and you're making that difference, that is really telling a big story and a great story about what Eleanor Roosevelt does. So again, I applaud you, I congratulate you, and I wish you the best as you move on. Again, congratulations, Ms. Reed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tough act to follow, your educators. The pizza's getting cold, so I'm not going to speak very much longer. I just want to say that we make hundreds of choices every day, and gratefully, mostly we make the right ones rather than the wrong ones. From time to time, we have opportunities we face where they're very critical. So you want to do the right thing. We want you to do the right thing. At Eleanor Roosevelt, our student body can get the help from SADD members. And that's very important, as your principal indicated. So I'm so pleased that we were able to do this to honor you. You're up here permanently. And we're going to make a $500 contribution to the Marguerite DeRosa Memorial Award Fund to fund future student awards. So let's have everybody come up here and let's unveil the photographs in the bio. The bio is already unveiled. And thank you again, Mrs. Reed, Mrs. Beck, Mr. McNeil, members of SADD, officers of SADD. Lynn, thank you. Okay. There you go.